All right, let's take a look at a problem where we are using coordinates to find perimeter. Okay, this question just says we have some triangle that's got three vertices given by these three coordinate points, and our goal is to find the perimeter of this triangle rounded to the nearest tenth. Okay, so my first thought, whenever I see coordinates, type them into Desmos. So I've already done that. Here is what that triangle would look like. Okay, now Desmos actually isn't going to help us a whole lot here because I need to find the length of all three sides of this triangle. Remember, perimeter is the distance all the way around the figure, so it's all of the sides added together. So I can't just count the distances here. Okay, these are all slanted distances, so I'm going to need to use the distance formula for all of these. So if we go back to our problem, remember the distance formula is given by the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Now remember, this is all under a square root, okay? It seems like some people have been forgetting the square root part when we've done distance problems in the past. Okay, so we need to find the length of all three sides. So I need to combine all 3 points into different distances. So I'll just do the first 2 points here, x1, y1, x2, y2, and find the length of that side. I'll call it side 1. Right, so side 1 is going to be the square root of x2 minus x1. So negative 1 minus negative 4 squared plus y2 minus y1, so 6 minus 0 squared. Okay, now most of the time we've worked on simplifying something like this by hand, but we can actually type all of this into the calculator exactly as we have it, as long as we have the correct parentheses. And remember, we said put parentheses around negative numbers. So we want to eventually round this to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the calculator as is here. Okay, so bring up my calculator. The square root button is right here on your calculator above the x squared. So I'm going to do second square root, and then all the parentheses just like we have them, negative 1 minus negative 4, close that parenthesis to the second power, then plus, what was it, 0, or 6 minus 0, 6 minus 0 to the second power, and then hit enter. Okay, so 6 point. Now the final answer we want to round to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to take this out to a few extra decimal places. I'm going to take it out to, say, 3 decimal places, so 6.708. All right, and then I just want to do that 2 more times. All right, so now I'm going to come back up here. So we did the first and the second points for side 1 here. Now I'll do the second and the third points. So I'll label x1, y1, x2, y2, and plug them in. So x2 minus x1 is 3 minus negative 1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So let's plug that into the calculator. Square root of 3 minus negative 1. Whoops, I forgot a parenthesis over here. If you ever forget a parenthesis or forget anything, you can use the insert button. So if I do second insert, that's going to let me put something in right in front of where I had it. Okay. So now we want 3 minus negative 1 squared plus, what was our second part? Negative 1 minus 6. Negative 1 minus 6. Close the parenthesis, square that. And that gets us 8.062. So 8.062. And finally, the only combination of points that we haven't used yet is going to be the first point and the last point. So label those x1, y1, x2, whoops, x2, y2, and plug these in. So x2 minus x1, 3 minus negative 4 squared plus y2 minus y1, negative 1 minus 0 squared, and plug that in here. So second square root of 3 minus negative 4 squared and plus negative 1 minus 0 squared. And that gets us 7.071. So these are all three side lengths. Now, if I want the perimeter, I just add all three of these together. So let's add them up. So 6.0, oops, 6.708 plus 8.062 plus 7.071. We get 21.841. Now the question says round to the nearest tenth. So tenth is the first decimal. So our perimeter rounded to the nearest tenth is going to be 21.8, right? Because this number is less than 5, so I don't round up. So rounded to the nearest tenth, 21.8. Okay, so give a couple of these problems a try here. There's only 3 of them since they are a little bit longer, right? But practice using the distance formula here to find perimeter.